Okay, enough game design theory, let's actually show what one turn in Tales from Elsewhere looks like. We're going to dive into the action horror setting that is Clockworld. It's post-apocalyptic Weird West. We're going to encounter the players doing one player turn. Now, please note that these are in-progress rules. They're being iterated on as we speak, so some of the language, terminology, and systems may be tweaked at this point, but the underlying combat flow is likely to remain unchanged. So let's dive in and take a look. We encounter the survivors as they're entangled in a deadly fight against a group of bandits that thought the train would be easy pickings to rob after it derailed. We'll jump right into the action with a player turn. In Tales from Elsewhere, the players all share a single turn, during which they can each use 2 actions. They can take these actions in any order, intermixing with each other for maximum coordination. Mudo, a gunslinger, currently has a bandit right in his face. This would make it harder for him to use his trusty revolver. His friend, a burly clockwork laborer named Mine, prefers to be next to his enemies, ideally using both of his actions to make a single all-in strike with his sledgehammer, rather than having to use one of those actions to move first. But alas, no bandit is next to him. So Mudo decides to shove the bandit next to him off the top of the train. This is an afflict using his brawling skill. An afflict is rolled against one of the target's defenses: grit for mental assaults, and vigor for physical ones, like shoving. The bandit has rank 1 vigor, so Mudo will need to meet or beat a 6 on his skill test to successfully shove him. The bandit uses one of its 2 reactions, bolstering his vigor to see if he can roll higher than his base defense. Mudo rolls 1d10 and adds his brawling skill bonus, in this case, getting 9 total. The bandit rolls 1d10 and adds his vigor bonus, for a total of 7. This was higher than his defense, but not higher than Mudo's skill test, so the shove is successful. The bandit goes tumbling down the side of the train, getting strained from the 10-feet fall, where Mine is waiting below. Now that Mine has a foe adjacent to him, he doesn't need to use one of his actions to move. Instead, he goes all in on a strike against the unfortunate bandit's head. This is an attack, which means the difficulty is based on how far away Mine is from his target and where on the body he's targeting. Striking an adjacent target is rank 0 by default, and going for the head would be the ace of the bandit. So that adds +2 ranks for a total of rank 2. This means Mine needs to get 8 or higher on his skill test. The bandit, wanting to keep his skull intact, tries to dodge the incoming hammer, but since he's prone, he'll be low rolling his skill test. Mine rolls 2d10 and takes the higher of the 2 before adding his melee skill bonus of +4, because he went all in on the strike. He gets a total of 12. The bandit rolls 2d10 and takes the lower of the 2 before adding his reflexes skill bonus of +2, because he was prone, which causes you to low roll your reactions. He gets a total of 5, nowhere near enough. Mine's strike was successful, so now he needs to make an injury roll. Being rank 2 in melee gives Mine 3 injury dice, and his sledgehammer uses d6s, so he rolls 3d6 and looks for the lowest result. Mine gets a 1, which is a critical injury. But Mine was aiming for the ace, which increases the severity of the injury to lethal. But Mine also has an edge called Mighty Swing, which increases the severity of the injuries he inflicts when he goes all in on strikes with two-handed weapons, so the injury becomes instant death. The bandit's head explodes like a watermelon as Mine brings his sledgehammer down like he's driving a rail spike. Now that Mudo doesn't have an enemy adjacent to him, he's free to unload with his revolver. He uses his second action to shoot at the other nearby bandit. Mudo is a crack shot and is worried about the potential return fire from the bandit, so Mudo aims for the bandit's gun hand. Mudo is close to the bandit, which means he needs to succeed on a rank 1 test. But he's aiming for the brim of the target, so that rank goes up by +1 to a total of rank 2. Mudo rolls his 1d10 and adds his marksmanship skill bonus for a total of 10. The bandit isn't near cover and therefore cannot react to being shot at. There's nothing for him to dive behind. Mudo is rank 3 in marksmanship and using a revolver, which means he rolls 4d8 and looks for the lowest result as usual. He gets a 3, which is a serious injury. Nothing too deadly, but that's enough to disable the bandit's hand, which causes it to drop the firearm. The GM also notes that the revolver inflicts bleeding injuries, so the bandit's arm will gush blood from the wound until it's treated. Mudo is out of actions, but he uses his Fan the Hammer edge, which lets him make an additional low-rolled shot for free right after shooting his revolver. Due to the accuracy penalty of Fan the Hammer, Mudo decides to just go for center mass on his target. which is rank 1 at this distance. Muto rolls 2d10 and takes a lower result before adding his marksmanship bonus. Now, Muto is so skilled at gunslinging that he actually cannot miss this shot, as his bonus is the same as the difficulty, and natural ones do not mean automatic failure. Muto then rolls his injury dice, 4d8 again. Unlucky. His lowest result is a 4. This means it's only a graze or flesh wound, which just strains the bandit rather than inflicting an actual injury on him. Muto then notes how many shots he has left in his revolver. 4 left. A d6 is helpful for tracking this at the table. Yun has taken a real beating, causing her strain boxes to all be full. She's cornered by 2 bandits who assume the lean, well-dressed lady will be easy to rob. Yun has other ideas. She uses one of her actions to pop the lid on her hip flask and take a long swig of whiskey. Yun can handle 3 drinks of alcohol before she starts getting sick, so she gulps down all 3 drinks, each of which removes 1 strain. The liquid courage also makes her emboldened until the end of her next turn, letting her high roll all skill tests. Now that she has freed up some of her strain, she can activate her monstrous transformation edge, which strains her and turns her into an enormous eldritch abomination. She can't maintain the form forever, as she becomes strained every turn she remains in this nightmarish form. She then uses her second action to use the special monstrous transformation action called Terrifying Presence. This lets her make a Frighten test against anyone close to her at rank 3, which is rolled against the grit defenses of those she targets. The bandits could each use a reaction to bolster their vigor, and the GM decides that each goes all in on their reaction, burning 2 reactions instead of 1 to high roll the skill test. Since Yun is emboldened, she rolls 2d10 and adds her bonus for this action, which is plus 6. She gets a total of 16. That's unfortunate for the bandits, who only have a grit bonus of plus 2. This means they have no chance of succeeding even when high rolling, because a natural 10 does not equal auto success. To save time, the GM doesn't even roll the dice for the bandits. Both bandits are now frightened until the end of their next turn, which causes them to low roll all skill tests and lowers their grit rank by -1. They picked the wrong lady to mess with. Temeki is badly wounded and in the choking grip of a blood oiler. The Oilers are terrifying foes, and it is a fate worse than death to let one drag you back to its lair to be transformed into a similar cybernetic abomination. The GM tells Temeki that to break free of the Oilers' grip, she'll need to make a rank 5 escape test, which means getting a 14 or higher. That's very hard, so not wanting to leave it to chance, she looks to her longtime friend, Reverend Hezekiah Pace, for assistance. The Reverend despises the undead, and has just what he needs, a vial of holy water. But the vial is in his backpack, so he'll need to use an action to open his bag and fish it out. He'll then use his second action to throw the vial at the Oiler, aiming for the arm that's choking the life from Temeki. The Reverend is close to his target, which means it's a rank 1 marksmanship test, and he's targeting the brim, which adds another 1 to the rank. The Oiler isn't reacting, there's no cover to jump behind, and it's focused entirely on watching the light leave its victim's eyes. The Reverend is rank 2 in marksmanship, so rolls 1d10 and adds plus 4 for his skill bonus. Uh-oh. He needed to get a 4 or higher to succeed, but he rolled a 1. Knowing that his friend's life is on the line, Hezekiah uses 1 luck to re-roll the skill test. This time, he gets a total of 9. Plenty to succeed. Instead of making an injury roll, holy water automatically inflicts a critical injury to horrors or undead it hits, which melts away the rotten flesh that holds the mechanical arm in place. Temeki is free, but the creature is far from dead. She now has both of her actions to either fight back or try to finish off the Blood Oiler, or maybe attempt to flee it to avoid further injury. So that was one slowed down, detailed explanation of one player turn in Tales from Elsewhere. Following that would be the threat turn, where those bandits and the Blood Oiler get to act in whatever order the GM, or storyteller as we'd call them, decides, and the players get to use their reactions and features to mitigate and avoid incoming injury. And we'll record a different video that demonstrates that. If you've made it this far, though, thank you so much. All of the public support has been amazing. The community is so involved in the comments. Please do comment and let me know your opinions. This is in active development right now, and I'm very active in the comments. I try to respond to everything. So let me know your thoughts, your design ideas, your constructive criticism. I welcome that sort of feedback. And as always, please like, subscribe, share, the whole deal. And I hope to see you all on the next video.